RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 YouTube talk show. We are live for a second edition. Excited to be back. Looking forward to sharing some more ideas and thoughts as to what's happening in this crazy world, as well as sharing with you some figures that, if it was possible, could be used to stabilize things and put a little bit more purchasing power or help stabilize the current amount of purchasing power we do have left in our currency, if it was possible, but of course it's not. So I'm going to share that as well as a couple other stories as to what's happening around the world in regards to inflation and what other central banks appear to be doing to keep their economies afloat. So, hope everyone's doing well. As always, for those that are tuning in, definitely let me know where you're watching from via the chat. And then when the phone lines open up, 313-462-0027 is the number to let your voice be heard. And definitely love to get your guys' thoughts. So, as you can see today, wearing my Purchasing Power, move this out of the way, my Purchasing Power Matters T-shirt, just because that's what it's all about. Outside of the craziness, preserving your purchasing power or purchasing power preservation is what I want to make sure I continue to pound or hound on, rather. And that has a lot to do with the concept of getting your weight up. And so I want to make sure, do a little plug for the RTD rounds for those that are interested. As you guys can see here, the same little emblem there. Purchasing Power Matters coin available for those that want to add to their stack, and as well as collect a little piece of artwork that would definitely be priceless in time. But anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Let me check in real quick, and then we'll jump into some stories. Love to get your take on what's happening, what you guys are seeing out there. What we got here? CS says, your recent interview with Kurt Walker Jr. was so many nuggets of gold. The idea of technology crippling BTC represents what Satoshi created is more farcical than CPI housing figures. Good point. Monkey King checking in. Dude Boy, Road King 4064, LBP. Let me see. Pablo Timo checking in. We got Creole the Traveler checking in. Jay Calypso. We have an alternative. Rick. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. Juke. Welcome to live stream, people. Hope everyone is doing well. Hit the thumbs up button if you don't mind. Show your support for the channel. Hopefully that'll notify a few more people. So let's just jump right in, man. Let me just jump right in and touch on some stories. So outside of the numbers that we were given, we all know what the numbers are. I came across an interesting article that I wanted to bring to your attention, which has a lot to do with just shining light on the figures that we were given. Of course, we all know based upon a live stream I did earlier how the numbers are bogus in and of themselves, but we'll run with them. Okay, but if it was possible to save the current monetary structure and to help protect the consumers when it comes to these instruments here, which are being weaponized or have been weaponized, the numbers that they would have to throw out there, meaning the Federal Reserve, would be something stupid. It doesn't make sense. And so I was doing a little homework, doing a little diving to better understand it. But the figures that would be needed is quite interesting, to say the least. But here's an article from Confound Interest. Does a great job of showing charts and stats and facts. And so it talks about the inflation number we're given, 7.5 year over year. Real weekly wages growth falls to negative 3.1. And then it says the Taylor rule now suggests the Fed funds target rate of 1890. So the creator of this uses the Taylor rule, which I did a little diving into that to better understand it. But it was something created, amongst economists to help put together key indicators of how economic growth is measured within an economy, to give some figures that would help the Federal Reserve better determine the actual rate, the Fed funds rate, to fight off inflation, to help this with the job stability, and as well as the elasticity of currency. And so the figure that's thrown out there is 18.90. And right now we're at 0.008, as I said earlier. But anyway, real quick, thought some figures. So here's the numbers we're given, 7.5. This is the real average weekly earning growth fell to 3.1. That's, using the 1982 calculations or whatever. Go down further. This is what caught my attention. And so actually, let me zoom in, give you guys a bigger look as to what this looks like. So this is the image here, and this is the Taylor rule model. And so as you guys can see here, this is measuring a forecast predictor for Fed funds rates. And it's been relatively, as you see, the blue line is the Taylor rule, and the white line is actually the real world Fed funds rate. And as you can see, 20 plus years ago, the models were relatively close. So the predicted Fed funds rate in blue and the real world Fed funds rate were always somewhat close until we hit some economic, turbulence where the markets diverged from reality. So the last time it happened, of course, was the great financial crisis. And of course, we had a immediate drop, and then QE started and all the stuff like that. But yet it remained relatively pegged even, with the Fed funds rate. But as you can see now, the great divergence. So as of right now, we're 0.008. And so based upon the calculations of this model here, used to forecast future projections for the Fed funds rate, what would be needed right now to stabilize the economy, which it couldn't happen because we're the world reserve currency, but it would have to be 18.90. So I looked up the Taylor rule to better understand exactly how this comes about. And here's a little information right here. It says the Taylor rule is one kind of targeting monetary policy used by central banks. It says the Taylor rule was proposed by the American economist John B. Taylor, economic advisor in the presidential administrations of Gerald Ford and George H.W. Bush in 1992 as a central bank technique to stabilize the economic activity by setting an interest rate. It says the rule is based on It says the rule is based on three main indicators: the federal funds rate, the price level, and changes in real income. The Taylor rule prescribes economic activity regulation by choosing the federal funds rate based on the inflation gap between the desired inflation rate and the actual inflation rate, and the output gap between the actual and natural level. So ultimately, given all those measurements there, if we were to use that, if the central bank could use this forecasting model by John B. Taylor, then they would have to hike rates. Like literally, they would have to pump the brakes and hike rates up to 18.90. Of course, that'll never happen, but that's the type of numbers that would be needed to stabilize the economy based upon all the damage that's done, all the funny currency that's been put out there. And that's what it would take. But of course, we know that can't happen. So it's just wishful thinking. But to let you know how severe things would have to be from the policymaker standpoint, this is the type of figures we would need. Don't count on that. But let me tell you what is happening with other central banks right now to stave off inflation in their neck of the woods. So here's an article here. It says Iceland makes the biggest rate hike since 2008 on housing boom. And so here's a little map visualizing some of the interest rate hikes that's taken place as of recent. And so we see the dark orange, meaning, the close to 1.5 basis points in Iceland right over here. Made a little bit of a hike in their interest rates, but says the monetary policy in Reykjavik lifted the 7-day term rate by 75 basis points to 2.75, the highest level in 2 years. It says the increase was forecast by the nation's two biggest banks, Landesbank and Icelandarsbanki, while market participants surveyed last week by the central bank predicted 50 basis points. So within our country, Iceland, market predictors, these two banks here, they were predicting a 50-point basis hike, but really came out to be 75 for Iceland. Okay, sure. Small country, Icelandic krona, nobody really cares about but the residents primarily. But that's the type of hike they're making. And then fast forward to what's happening in Japan. So Bank of Japan asked to put a lid on bond yields and affirm a dovish stance. So we all know bond yields globally is, taking off just because financial conditions are becoming a little problematic for the government. Trust is fading, so borrowing cost is going up. So it says a central bank, as a response, it says the central bank will buy 10-year bonds at 0.25 on February 14th. So we know the Fed or the bond yields in Japan were damn near zero, if not negative, for the longest, but they're trending upward. So what is the Bank of Japan doing? They're stepping in and they promising to buy as much as possible. They will do whatever they can to keep the government from actually going belly up. And so the central bank has become the first and last resort to save their economy there, similar to what could happen here in the U.S. if the Federal Reserve actually was interested in saving the economy. But it says this is the first such operation since July 2018 as the yields creep closer to the limit of tolerated levels under the Bank of Japan's yield curve control framework. So the response to the central bank in Japan is to control the yield curve, meaning that they don't want things to get too top heavy and tip over as far as their economy is concerned. So what they're doing is just coming in and supporting everything, buying everything outright. And so what is our bank doing? Nothing right now. They're talking about 50 basis points next month. Come on now. It's not going to happen. Anyway, that's just what's happening there. Then a couple more stories is worth touching on. Let me grab this. Here is more what's happening in the real economy. The average household is spending an extra $250 a month or $3,000 per year due to increase in the consumer prices. But the middle-aged Americans are paying even more. Yeah, not good stuff. Not good stuff at all. And then on the last note here, due to the increased demand in automobiles, GM and Ford warned dealerships stop charging over sticker price or we'll cut off the supply. So we have dealerships now looking to benefit off the surge in car prices. So they're putting a little bit extra on the cost of the vehicles on the stickers and at the lots. And so GM and Ford is looking to basically cut off the price gouging. And so that's what's happening on the car front there. Then on another story here, closer to me, let me share this with you real quick, and then I'll open the phone lines. We'd love to get your thoughts on what you keep an eye on. But here is something happening not too far from me, which I thought was funny because the buyer decided to file some lawsuits or something. It says attorney in Bloomfield Hills, the Mercedes-Benz dealer wanted an extra $120K above sticker. So literally, you go to the lot to buy a Benz, they put an extra 120 on top of that just because they can ask for it. Now, obviously the buyer wasn't too happy with that, so got his attorney involved, but that's what's going on. And then on another note here, last two pieces I want to touch on. Outside of the numbers that's been given to us, it looks like central banks are still getting their weight up. It says the Irish Central Bank gold bullion holdings surged to 9.5 tons. So here we have a little visual aid as to the activity they've had over the last several years, and it's been relatively stable. So the Bank of Ireland has been relatively stable throughout the last several years, but for some strange reason, I'm not sure why, within the last year, look at this. They went from 195-ish, 100 tons up to 250-ish tons within a year. I wonder what do they see coming? I don't know. I wouldn't even begin to know. And then here's another plan coming out of Turkey. Turkey aims at 5,000 tons of gold savings. Why would Turkey be saving gold? Oh, I wouldn't know either. But anyway, while central banks are destroying economies as well as ruining our purchasing power, that's why purchasing power matters, they're getting their weight up. So literally, they're out here doing they're over here doing their thing. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, let's open the phone lines. Curious to hear what's on your radar. Let me see here. Let me see here. So let me look through this. So in that article, okay, so it looks like there was a question about 120,000 over what? And so it says the price that was agreed upon for that Mercedes-Benz, where'd that article go? So it says that the sticker price for that G-Wagon was 184,000. The Mercedes G63 sticker price was 184,000 in 2019, and I want to say that's probably when the purchaser either put in a bid for it or attempted to buy it. It was delivered not too long ago, and the dealership decided to put an extra 120,000 on it. So that's the difference in the price for that vehicle right there. All right, let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Give me your thoughts on what is happening, and if it was possible to rate interest rates up, hike interest rates, Fed funds rate up to 18.90, that'll still leave us in a world of trouble because, yeah, there's no. The banks would go belly up. All the corruption and all that currency that has been created will be exposed because definitely all the institutions will be running for dear life. And where would they run to? The same place the central banks are running to. They're running towards the weight, the shiny stuff, the heavy stuff that just sits there and do nothing but just preserve purchasing power. Oh my goodness, that's what it is. Anyway, let's talk. So let me go through the chat. As always, highlight at Rethinking a Dollar, and I definitely would love to hear your thoughts and see what's going on. Throw out some thoughts or questions, and we can definitely touch on that. Vicious People said markets are tanking. Yeah, no doubt. And that's just how it goes, man. Like, we are literally at the end game of this current debt Ponzi scheme. It's unfortunate that there's no good news overall in any of these numbers. And so the monetary authorities at work right now, their ultimate agenda is keeping the bubbles from bursting. So they're trying to, by doing nothing right now, they're trying to let air seep out of the bubbles without something pricking the bubbles, causing the ultimate collapse of collapses. And so literally the Fed right now stalling, buys them time. They're letting air seep out by closing this monetary spigot, because once again, this system can't move on unless they continue to add into existence new currency. So Tony B says, how is the Fed gonna fight inflation? Of course, you know that they're not going to. They can't fight inflation. Inflation is baked into the cake, just with the idea of their mandate of trying to maintain their supposed 2% inflation itself lets us know that they have to continue to expand. So there's no fighting it. It's just they're trying to, use all the jawboning words, and of course, the mainstream media is making it seem like it's the biggest problem we face. And that, I guess today, not Jerome Powell, but Joe Biden or Joe Brand, whatever his name is, talked about fighting inflation by trying to tackle gas prices. So it looks like they're suggesting that they're going to eliminate the national tax on gas. I think it was be about 18 cents. So it'll bring it down from the national average is like $3.50. So it'll bring it down like $3.30. And that's the administration's way of fighting inflation at the tank, at the pumps rather. Timo says, have you ever thought about going live when the market's open? Timo, I have not. It's usually due to scheduling, however I can work it out. But I'm thinking about trying to do something different just to get more interaction with you guys, as well as getting your take on things as the day unfolds. So working on that. But let's get to some calls. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. How you doing, brother?
TB, doing good, my friend. What's on your mind?
One more again, walking in raw.
No doubt, man. What's going on, man?
See, everybody's playing it with the satellites out here. Turning them on and turning them off.
Hold on. What satellite? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Elon Musk.
Oh, you talking about
40 up, 49 up, and 9 of them stayed up, and the rest of them came down.
Right. That's the problem.
Everybody's missing the point of that. And which I have been trying to hammer home on this channel is the fact that the whole universe is electrically connected.
Yeah.
And if the sun doesn't outburst of gamma ray or plasma or anything towards Earth, then it affects Earth.
Yeah.
And just what happens the day that he decides to put some up, it happened to shoot him down.
Right.
But that could at any point, any time, and we get one every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
realize is we do this all the time. We throw satellites up all the time, and these rays at that magnitude hit those satellites as well, and it does nothing to them. But why? You have to ask yourself, why this time? Why these satellites? Why not all of them? And the reason is because our Earth's shield is deteriorating fast, quick, and in a hurry.
Yeah.
That's why you get these storms down in Texas. That's why you get the abominable snow that's over in the East Coast. You know, you're getting weather where it isn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
And we have to really pay attention, and that's why I say get out into nature, because nature will tell you. A dog will tell you when it's going to rain if you look at it close enough. You don't want to go outside. You know, we need to get back to what is fundamental, and we're going to get there.
Yeah.
But you know, all this other stuff that they're throwing in our way is just it's all BS, and
right.
we keep falling for the BS.
Right.
And we just pull back from that and look at what the natural God puts out there for us, because when He invented this earth, He made sure that there was a yes in it. So anything they pull across the carpet, across your eyes, across everywhere, eventually it's going to get revealed to you if you're paying attention and walking in spirit. Eventually it's going to get to you, and you're going to say, oh no, that CV stuff ain't real. That's BS. What are you just trying to pull here? You see this sort of stuff because when God put us on this earth, when we decided to come here and do our earthly walk, then all that stuff was given to us. He gave us all our natural immunity.
Right.
He never said that, well, you might need a shot, or you may want to wear a pink dress now. You know, no.
Very true.
So we just need to stay in touch with who we are and what we are, and let the rest flow by the wayside.
Yeah.
Ben's going to have to do it. And that's the other thing I put in the text to you is like, at what point is this not going to happen? They have to raise the interest rates. As much as we like to say that they aren't and can't do it, you know, China saved us in 08, correct?
Yeah.
China saved us in 08, and now we pulled triggers and pulled levers in 18, and then 2020 come along, and we had no other ammunition.
Yeah.
Every 100 years, there's one ammunition that everybody has, right? If you look at all the viruses and all the diseases every 100 years back, going back another 100. Yeah. You know, that they had their last thing in 2020, and so going forward, they have nothing else.
Yeah.
So we need to prepare for what they don't have to make sure that we're out in front of this. So when it does happen to us, we're in the right position in order to survive this thing, because it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, no doubt. And as I was saying, there's no way around the adjustments that are already underway. Like, you know, so technically speaking, you know, they talking about their great reset, but things are already resetting right now. And it's happening on a much smaller level, day by day, in everybody's lives. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, wrapping our head around it.
There is no reset.
Yeah, oh, there's a reset happening. There is a reset happening. Because right now, there's millions of families around the world that are probably being forced to make some very awkward decisions that will cause them to have to do things that they never thought they had to do, or adjust, or tighten down budgets, and that's a reset. You know, so that's a reset of the way we've been conditioned to think that the American dream will go on forever. Well, that's like, you know, that's a hell of a reset. That's an adjustment to reality. That, you know, if we don't remain, or we don't maintain this reserve status and the ability to finance our lives forever, we go down to the real world of, like, you know, living like everybody else. That's a hell of a reset,
well,
in my opinion.
That's just an
adjustment, a restructuring.
Yeah, that's just a correction, just like the market there right now. What they're doing is just recorrecting, and it all goes back to fundamental value.
Yeah.
When this earth was placed here, and we decided to take a walk on it, it had fundamental value, and that's what we're going to get back to and start it all over again.
Hey, man. Well, I appreciate your thoughts and insight as always, TB. Good to hear from you, man.
Get up, brother.
I will do.
Talk to you later.
Yep. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff there. Wow, where we at? This is a lot of interesting stuff unfolding. And so I like how TB said, get out, enjoy nature, and stuff like that. Definitely, you know, at this current moment, especially, you know, just doing the best you can to, you know, enjoy the moment, despite all the things happening around us. A lot of noise, and that's where I think, from a spiritual sense of things, that, there is, definitely there's outside of the doom and gloom side of things, there's always opportunity, and there's more than enough opportunity right now. I think that's what one thing that excites me is that the God that I serve is a God of abundance, and I'm very grateful for the ability to be aware and in tune with a lot of things right now. So definitely looking forward to much better days. Let's keep it moving. Also, I did see somebody in the chat mention the fire in France, and so I did find out. I was paying attention to that, but I haven't talked about it. But it says large fire breaks out at the Bank of France, the money printing factory. So accidental, intentional, who knows? But I think Macron, him having gone over to Russia, he's probably ironing out some things with Putin, because just I think it was today I saw a tweet saying that they're going to be looking to activate or create or whatever 10 nuclear power plants between now and 2035. And so I think also they've incorporated, uranium and nuclear into the green fold. And so at first they want to shut everything down, but all of a sudden now they're going to find ways to work in nuclear. So that's a change of plans. And I'd imagine uranium, a lot of that comes from Russia. So I'm definitely sure, Macron's shaking some hands. And that's basically more backstabbing to the Western globalists, because I think Macron is still pissed off at the fact that the UK and the US decided to partner with Australia to help them with their nuclear program, as far as them submarines and whatnot. So, yeah, anyway, good stuff there. Creole the Traveler says, Mike, if America is not holding the number one position, it's more than a readjustment. It's like Bill Holter says, anarchy in about 72 hours. Yeah, that definitely could be the case. Good thoughts there. Nicholas said, the money printer overheated, printing too much. Better print while you can. Still, the last official act of any government is to loot the treasury. Yeah, that's the thing. Like the Bank of France, because they're in the euro, they technically don't really print currency, and so I'm not quite sure what that building is for exactly, because they don't print the French franc anymore. So I don't know. I'm sure that serves a purpose, but monetary policy within the country, more so the debt for the government, is what they probably focus on. Streamer One says, why is palladium price moving but the chart is not moving? Great question. I don't know. Let me check in real quick, because outside of the doom and gloom of the markets, gold and silver did catch a bid, but as always, they managed to slam down the price by dumping a couple billion ounces of paper out of nowhere. And so once again, as I said earlier, the disconnect between spot and physical will take place this year, because the smart money has already gotten out of the equities market. They're sitting in cash now, waiting on fire sales. The uninformed, the uneducated money, which are parked in all those financial vehicles, at some point, they're either going to be locked in entirely, not able to withdraw, or slowly but surely, with all this market volatility, more people are going to start removing their funds, and they're going to look for a place to park it. And we know the older individuals will definitely use metals. The younger will definitely go to the digital asset space. And so we'll keep it moving from there. Tony B says, why haven't the USD CNY trade hasn't moved since last year? Good point. I don't know. I did see something about that phase one trade agreement, and it looks like I saw something earlier about the U.S. attempting to hold China accountable for their trade agreement. And so trade phase one, let's see, with U.S. trade, let me see this, USA, China trade phase, because it was supposed to be under Trump, it was supposed to be 3 phases, and then all heck broke loose, and nothing came about it. But here's a little article here. It says, column, plunge in U.S. soy exports to China in 2021 exposes phase one flaws. And so this was as of 2 days ago. So, but once again, Mainstream stories only keep us focused on what we see and not what's really happening. You're talking about the currency pair. Not sure. Don't pay attention to it too much myself. But shine your light, shine your thoughts on it. Let me know what you're feeling, what you're thinking. Because to my knowledge, we still need China because that's where everything comes from. The justification for the metal slam down is the CPI number. No doubt, Pablo, but then also earlier when the numbers came out, the metals markets rallied. So I would assume that this 430, well, it's 430 right now. That's another slam down from another entity. I'm not sure if it's the Comex or if it's somewhere in Europe or anywhere else that is a cause of that one. All right, what's going on? Feel free to give me a call. Let's talk or throw out some thought topics or whatnot. We can touch on it. Let me see here. It says, folks, if you really want to know, folks, if you really knew about the Earth, you all laugh at the solar crap, climate change, space race. You've been duped. Normal norm, no doubt. That's the thing. Like, a lot of people here. This is a channel where we question everything, believe nothing. So, problem is, as of now, in regards to the Earth and everything pertaining to it, outside of trying to put together different sources of information from different, YouTube channels, scientists, whatever, to study that stuff, there's no definitive proof in anything truly other than just putting together information we do receive. So until we actually experience it for ourselves, do we really know? Most of that falls into the category of, faith, trust, blind trust, whatever you want to call it. Is up over, Pablo, 10-year yield. Yeah, we touched on that earlier. Climate change is a hoax. I would definitely go along with that camp as well. The fake moon landing. Yeah, I've seen more than enough video that's have surfaced over the last couple of months to really point to how there was no departure from that stratosphere, in my opinion. Anyway, all right, so phone lines are not buzzing, so I'm going to get ready to dial back. As always, I appreciate everybody for hanging out with me. I appreciate that love offering, my friend. But yeah, you know what time it is. As much as the narrative is the Fed is going to fight inflation with these rate hikes, if they were going to do it, they should have been did it, but they're not going to do it because they're stalling, because they're waiting on some event. And the event definitely is around the corner or some capacity. So the thing is, if you know something's coming, you don't want to wait till it happens to really say, oh, now it's here. Now I'll believe, just take our word at it. Something's brewing. They need something to, jump off. If not, they're going to be looking mighty stupid. So everybody's aware of the fact that grocery stores are not just going to magically restock themselves. And if the truckers convoy picks up in the States, like a lot of people are saying that it's going to happen, it'd be great. I would love for this upcoming weekend, the truck convoy to shut down the Super Bowl. That'd be fantastic because that'd piss a lot of people off, but it also force a lot of people to wake up and start researching on things that they are completely oblivious to, in my opinion. What else we got here? It says Van Allen belt. Can't get through the Van Allen belt. So I just recently came across the Van Allen belt, looked that up, and did some stuff on that as well. Lionel says, why did gold go down on inflation news? Because my personal opinion is that the goal is to make it appear as if there's no safety. There's no place to run for safety in this transition of the global economy. So they don't want nothing to make it look like it's doing well, while the primary focal point for the economy happens to be the equities markets as well as the bond market. They don't want people even thinking about running and dumping the fiat currencies and running for safety. And so everything that appears to be a hedge will definitely be manipulated down. And I think what the biggest difference now between the current inflation numbers we're being sold, of course, we know they're a lot higher in comparison to what the inflation numbers were in real terms in the 70s, is that as the inflation numbers went up, so did gold and silver. And it's so coincidental that in 1974, the futures markets was presented as being a way to help save financial or the future price discoveries for the commodity sector but also lumping gold and silver into that category. Here we are almost 50 years later, and same type of atmosphere. Inflation numbers are pretty much in the same place they were in the 70s, not quite yet, but soon to be. And gold and silver has gone nowhere in relation to that same type of environment. We can blame those futures contracts and stuff like that. So nothing's by surprise here. Nothing is by surprise. But anyway, all right, people, that's all she wrote for the day. As always, it's good to connect and share my 2 cents on some things. But if the Federal Reserve could, if they were capable, they could have squashed this a long time ago. But whatever they do or don't do, the end game is still underway because there's no way of saving the complete nonsense that they put us in now. So it's up to you. You are responsible for yourself. And of course, from a financial standpoint, you know what it's about, people. Get your weight up, do what you got to do. And then also, as a way of supporting the channel, if anybody want to do so, I want to make sure to remind you guys that the RTD rounds are still available. Put this on the screen real quick. And so they're going to be timeless art pieces that will represent history very well because purchasing power matters regardless of how you look at it. So anyway, be blessed, be safe. I will see you guys on the flip side.